you're about to hear is not just a movie review. It is a slow descent into an unsettling world where smiles are not symbols of joy, but silent promises of something far more sinister. A world where horror doesn't just lurk in shadows, but hides in plain sight, wearing a grin that grows wider the further you look into it. So settle in, adjust your headphones, and prepare for a deep dive analysis of Smile 2. A film that has rapidly earned a place among the most disturbing and psychologically gripping horror experiences of the decade. Hey dear, welcome to Gist Portal. Smash that like button right now. Let's continue. Smile 2 continues the legacy of the first film, but it approaches its world from a new angle. Instead of following an average individual caught in an impossible curse, the story this time focuses on someone who seemingly has everything. A superstar, a public figure, a woman living under the light of fame. And because of that, her fall is not just tragic, it is catastrophic. The film's protagonist, Skye Riley, is introduced to us as a rising pop sensation. She has fans, fame, sponsorships, and a life that from the outside appears beautiful. But underneath that glitter lies vulnerability, emotional cracks, the kind of hidden pain that the curse in Smile seeks out the same way a predator smells blood in the water. The brilliance of Smile 2 lies in how it exploits something deeply human, the need to put on a brave face, the need to smile even when you don't feel like it, the need to keep going even when inside everything feels like it's starting to collapse. The movie weaponizes that idea, making every smile feel dangerous, unnatural, threatening. And as Skye begins to experience the curse, her world becomes an emotional minefield of forced grins and sinister expressions that seem almost too wide, too deliberate, too knowing. The early part of the film is subtle. It doesn't throw its horrors at the audience immediately. Instead, it allows unease to grow naturally. Skye hears faint whispers, a strange humming noise, a familiar melody that plays when no one else is around. At first it looks like stress, maybe exhaustion, maybe the overwhelming nature of celebrity life. But slowly, carefully, eerily, the film forces both Skye and the audience to realize something far worse is happening. Something supernatural, something ancient, something patient. As the story unfolds, Skye becomes increasingly aware that she is being followed by an entity that appears in the faces of people around her. And every time it reveals itself, it wears that horrible grin, a smile that doesn't belong. A smile that promises her destruction. Smile 2 is a psychological attack. It is horror that crawls under your skin and settles in your thoughts. Rather than relying on jump scares, it embraces creeping dread, the kind that settles slowly and refuses to let go. It uses sound, silence, distorted faces, repeated phrases, and subtle visual cues to keep viewers uneasy. The curse in this film isn't loud. It's quiet, and that makes it terrifying. Now, let's go deeper into the heart of the movie. As Skye grapples with what she's experiencing, the curse begins feeding on her emotional wounds. The trauma she's buried, the unresolved guilt, the suppressed memories, the things she never truly faced, begins to surface. And like in the first film, the curse grows stronger when the victim is mentally weakest. It uses a person's pain as a ladder, climbing deeper into their mind until reality and hallucination become indistinguishable. The middle portion of Smile 2 is a slow, suffocating breakdown. Skye tries to maintain her composure in public. She tries to rehearse. She tries to perform. But fear becomes a permanent companion. Every smile from a stranger feels threatening. Every reflection becomes suspicious. Every quiet moment becomes dangerous. Even her closest friends begin to feel like potential threats. Not because they're dangerous, but because she can no longer tell what's real. The film handles the theme of isolation beautifully. It shows how trauma can separate a person emotionally even when they are physically surrounded by people. And the saddest part is that no one around Skye can fully understand what she's going through. Not because they don't care, but because what she is experiencing is beyond human explanation. She's trapped, and the curse knows it. Smile 2 explores the cruel nature of emotional suffering, the kind of suffering that others can't see, the kind of suffering that gets dismissed, the kind that forces people to pretend they're fine because admitting the truth feels impossible. And that's why Smile 2 hits so hard emotionally. It's not just about horror. It's about the terrifying loneliness of unspoken pain. As Skye desperately looks for answers, the film reveals the deeper mythology behind the curse. Through interviews, police reports, and hidden testimonies, she discovers that the curse has been passed down silently through generations. Every victim ends their life in agony, and every witness becomes the next carrier. It's a chain of trauma with no end, a horrifying cycle that feeds on suffering, continuing through time like a parasite that refuses to die. This is where the narrative becomes darker, exploring human desperation in ways most horror films avoid. Skye learns about previous victims who tried to survive by sacrificing someone else, forcing them to witness their death. This part of the story questions morality in a chilling way. What would you do if your life depended on harming someone else? Smile 2 doesn't shy away from the disturbing nature of this idea. It leans into it. It forces Skye to face the choice. And it forces the audience to imagine what they would do. As the film moves into its final act, Skye's mental state is almost completely shattered. She has lost the ability to trust her senses. Friends seem like enemies. Dreams feel real. Reality feels like a dream. And the smiling entity becomes more persistent, appearing everywhere she looks, staring with a grin that stretches from cheek to cheek. This is where the movie reaches its peak psychological terror. The entity begins manifesting not to scare her, but to break her. It doesn't just want her life. It wants her mind. It wants her memories. It wants to force her into a state of complete emotional vulnerability, where fear and guilt completely consume her. The climax of Smile 2 is symbolic more than literal. It represents a battle between Skye and her deepest fears. The curse uses moments from her past, people she loved, and memories she tried to forget, reshaping them into twisted emotional weapons. And even as she fights back, it becomes clear that this isn't a battle she can win through strength or courage. Like those before her, Skye is trapped in a cycle she cannot break. Her final attempt at survival is devastating. It's emotional, raw, and heartbreaking. And when the curse finally claims her, it does so with the same chilling smile that has haunted the entire film. Someone else witnesses her fate. The curse passes on. The cycle continues. The final moments of the movie leave viewers in a stunned silence. It ends not with resolution, but with a question that sits heavily in the air. If trauma spreads through witnessing, how many smiles around us hide their own pain? How many people are silently suffering from wounds that no one else can see? Smile 2 doesn't just end with horror. It ends with truth. A truth many people avoid. A truth many people conceal with a smile. Now, in this extended review, let's move deeper into the film's artistic choices and psychological layers. Smile 2 uses color in a strategic way. At the beginning of the film, colors are vibrant, reflecting Skye's glamorous life. But as the curse tightens its grip, those colors drain. Scenes become colder, bluer, washed out. Even the lighting changes, giving her world a more oppressive, suffocating feel. It mirrors her mental state perfectly. The sound design plays an equally important role. The movie uses silence as a weapon. Long stretches of quiet create a tense atmosphere where every small sound feels amplified. When the entity appears, the audio doesn't rely on sudden loud bursts. Instead, it uses subtle distortions, layered whispers, reversed melodies, and unsettling hums that build unease in ways the audience can't fully understand. It's like the sound itself is infected with the curse. The acting performances deserve special praise. The lead actress delivers a nuanced, heartbreaking performance that makes her descent into madness feel painfully real. She doesn't just act scared. She acts traumatized, confused, isolated. Her facial expressions alone carry entire scenes. And the moments where she tries to smile, knowing she's being haunted by a smiling entity, are some of the most disturbing in the film. The supporting cast also strengthens the movie's emotional realism. Their reactions to Skye's behavior make the story grounded. They don't magically believe her. They show concern, doubt, frustration, fear. Their inability to help her contributes to the emotional collapse that fuels the curse. And that realism makes the supernatural element even more horrifying. One of the most powerful themes in Smile 2 is the idea that trauma doesn't disappear just because someone pretends it's gone. It hides, it festers, it grows, and eventually, it demands to be confronted. The smiling curse becomes a metaphor for the emotional weight people carry silently. The monster is not just the entity, it's the pain we refuse to acknowledge. The film's message becomes clearer the deeper you analyze it. Smile 2 is not simply a horror movie. It is a commentary on emotional suppression, generational trauma, and the cost of pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It challenges the viewer to consider how much suffering people around them may be hiding behind forced smiles. It asks uncomfortable questions, and it gives no easy answers. As we approach the closing stretch of this long-form review, let's reflect on the film's impact. Smile 2 continues to trend because it taps into universal fears, not of ghosts or monsters, but of losing control, losing stability, losing sanity, losing yourself. These are fears that resonate with people on a deeply personal level. The movie makes you question your own perceptions. It makes you remember moments when you weren't okay, but smiled anyway. It makes you think about how fragile the human mind can be. This is what separates Smile 2 from typical horror. It isn't just frightening. It is introspective. It leaves you thinking long after the credits fade. It makes your mind wander in the dark. It makes silence feel suspicious. It makes you uncomfortable in your own thoughts. Horror that lasts. Horror that haunts. Horror that whispers quietly rather than screams loudly. That is the signature of Smile 2. As we close this extended review, one truth becomes clear. The real power of Smile 2 lies not in its supernatural elements, but in its ability to reflect the darkness people carry silently. The curse is terrifying because it mirrors the emotional burdens many people experience every day. Burdens they never talk about. Burdens they hide with a smile. So the next time you see someone smiling, ask yourself, are they smiling out of joy? Or are they smiling to hide something much darker? Because in the world of smile, not every smile is innocent. Not every smile is comforting. And some smiles are warnings. Thank you for watching. That subscribe button or the ghost from this movie will smile at you. Also, comment what you think about this video.
Not real, right?